Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The Honorable Examiners of this seminar proposal, Ibu Dr. RACHMAWATI M.PD and Ibu RENY HERYANTI M.HUM. The Honorable My Supervisor, Bapak Dr. DM Ali S.PD M.PD and Ibu Dr. NYIMAS TRIYANA SAFITRI S.PD M.ED S.D. I'm Maudy Dewi. I would like to present my proposal with the title Student Perception Toward Lecturer Collective Feedback in Speaking for General Purpose. Okay, let me start. Chapter 1, Background. Speaking is one of the language skills which is essential for the student besides the ability of listening, writing, and reading during their study in each level in any type of school and also in their real life in the community. Reagan states, speaking as the ability to produce articulation, sound, or word to express, to say, to show, and to think about ideas, thought, and feeling. In the teaching-learning process of English subject, it could be found an error made by student in speaking form. And then the role of teacher is giving feedback for the student about the error in order to make them understand and learn it. And the teacher can provide the feedback in many ways. The one is corrective feedback. It could be done. By oral or written corrective feedback. Corrective feedback is a form of performance feedback used to improve student achievement. Teacher provide feedback to student to reinforce expectation and to correct student error during lessons. And and the question is whether or not this correction disrupt the flow of conversation that does not lead to the intent, accuracy, and fluency. This needs closer attention because as the researcher see on the contrast between speaking and writing, there is limited time for planning and editing the speech during conversation. And then another important question is whether or not giving correction will give negative effect on the student experience in learning because experience in learning takes major part in determining the success or the failure of student. So, based on the explanation, the researcher is interested in investigating student perception toward lecturer corrective feedback in speaking class at English Study Program FKIP Universitas Jambi. The next research question. In this research proposal, the research question is what are student perception toward corrective feedback given in speaking class activity? And the next limitation of study. The focus of this research is to investigate student perception toward lecturer corrective feedback in speaking for general purpose at English Study Program Universitas Jambi. And then the researcher will choose the first semester student of English Study Program at Universitas Jambi to be research participant. And the next is objective of study. The objective of the research is to find out the student perception toward the corrective feedback given in teaching speaking activity. And the next is significance of the study. The researcher hopes this research to bring improvement which can be used to give oral correction in speaking class as beginning level in which errors are more likely to occur. The next is chapter 2, literature review. In this chapter, there are 5 subchapters. First subchapter is speaking. There are definition of speaking and component of speaking. And second subchapter is students perception. There are definition of student perception. And the third chapter is feedback. There are definition of feedback and significance of feedback. And then the fourth subchapter is corrective feedback. There are definitions of corrective feedback and type of corrective feedback. And then the last is subchapter review of previous study. There are 3 previous study. The first title is an analysis of teacher corrective feedback in grading skill at grade student of MTS and Sumberlawang. The and then written by Ayu Sekar. And then the second is the characteristic of teacher feedback in speaking activities at SMPN 2 Depok, written by Wahyu Anggraini. And the last is lecturer corrective feedback in speaking class at English Department of Muhammadiyah University of Surakarta, written by Evi Karlina. And then next is chapter 3, research methodology. First is research design. In this proposal, the researchers use descriptive quantitative. Lodico say that descriptive quantitative research is aims to describe behavior and to gather people perception, option, attitude, and belief about a current issue in education. The next is population and sample. Population is the large of group to which a researcher wishes to generalize. It includes all members of a defined class of people, event, or object. And the population of this research will be taken from first semester student of English study program FKIP at Universitas Jambi. And then next is sample. Sample is part of the number and characteristic of the set in the population. The sample of this research is first semester student, class R001 consists of 24 students. There are 3 boys and 21 girls will take as sample of this study. And the next is research instrument. In this research, the researcher choose questionnaire to research instrument. Questionnaire is a set of questions for gathering information from subject of study. And the next is validity and reliability. Validity is defined as the extent to which a concept is accurately measured in a quantitative study. And the researcher will be conduct test validity using person product moment correlation using SPSS. Next is reliability. Reliability is concerned the extent to which a measurement of a phenomenon provides stable and consistent result. The researcher will be use Cronbach alpha to find out whether the instrument is reliable or not. And then next is technique of data collection. In this research, the researcher collect the data from questionnaire. And firstly, the researcher prepare the instrument test, which is questionnaire. And secondly, the researcher deliver the questionnaire to the sample that has been chosen by total sampling. And then the third, the researcher collect all of the questionnaire. And then the fourthly, after find the data, researcher analyze the result of questionnaire. And then the last, the researcher drawn conclusion from the data, finding, and theories about the student perception toward corrective feedback in speaking for general purpose at English Department of Jambi University, Universitas Jambi. And the next is technique of data analysis. In technique of data analysis, the researcher using SPSS software and Microsoft Excel to analyze the data of the questionnaire. I think that's enough from me. Thank you for nice extension. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.